Picking it out. No Country for Old Men is just an amazing movie. And you know, Tommy Lee Jones and Woody Harrelson both. I really like both of them. Both just great actors, just like you are. You know, that one scene where you're telling that story in that movie, you just have people in the palm of your hand, I feel like.
Well, that was, they didn't cast me in that movie for a long time. I knew they were putting it together. I knew they were doing the movie because my son went and auditioned for him early on in the thing. But they didn't call me until, about, just a few weeks before they were going into production with it. And they called my manager and asked if I would do this part. Said it's one scene with Tommy, and I said, "Well, sure, I'll look at it." And so I read the script. I always read from the first to the back, so I know what the whole overall story is and where my character fits in.
Right.
And of course, I couldn't find Ellis anywhere. I reading along, and there's all this bloodletting and shooting bolts in people's head and all this stuff. Thought, well, I don't know if I want to do this or not. Then we got to that scene where old Ellis is talking about all he's really making the whole movie clear. It tells the whole story in that one scene.
Yeah.
And so I said, I called my manager up. I didn't even finish the script. I called him up and I said, well, hell yeah, I'll do it. That part is the movie. I mean, that's, if somebody stays that long in the movie, that explains this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so he called up the Coen brothers and they asked me to come and rehearse in New Mexico. My part was shot in Marfa, Texas. Well, they were rehearsing in New Mexico up in Santa Fe. And so I flew out there. And then I had to go do another short movie where I was horseback for 2 weeks and, up in Kansas. And so they had the Coen brothers had to hire a private plane to fly me from Kansas down to Marfa because there was no airport in the part of Kansas I was in. There's no airport in Marfa.
Yeah.
So we had to hire a private plane, fly me down there to do that one scene. And so I went down, we did the scene, did it one day, and did some pickups the next morning. And then I was done. And I went over and said, to think it as Joel, I said, do you guys ever give anybody direction? And he said, well, if we cast it right, we don't have to. I thought, well, that's about the most profound thing I've ever heard the director say.
That sure is.
Because they never said anything to either Tommy Lee or me. And the whole time we were doing it, they just whispered to each other and said, all right, let's do it again.
Wow.
And then they'd move the camera and shoot another angle and do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they never said a word to us. They just let us go.
Huh. That's why it feels so real.